Hello, so today I will be talking to you guys about Ada Lovelace. So Ada Lovelace's actual name was Augusta Ada King, Countess of Lovelace. She was born on the 10th of December in London, England. Her father was a poet named Lord Byron, and her mom was Anne Isabella Byron. She's the only Byron child born in wedlock, and her parents separated 1 month after Ada's birth, so Ada never actually knew her father. Her mother wanted to avoid having Ada become like her father, who she believed was crazy because his poet side was never really understood. So she pushed her daughter to pursue math and logic skills. She was privately taught math and science by many, such as William Friend, William King, and Mary Somerville. In her adolescence, she was schooled by Augustus de Morgan. She was often forced to lie still in bed by her mother in order to develop self-control, which is actually really bizarre. So here is a little cartoon about Ada Lovelace's childhood where there's a poet come and her mom hides her because poets are really seen as crazy. And it's important to say that at the time for a girl to learn math and science was really not common. So her math life, she wrote a paper about the analytical engine, which focuses on Charles Babbage's early mechanical general purpose computer. So she's known for creating the first algorithm for a machine and often referred to as the world's first computer programmer. She believed that intuition and imagination were crucial in order to be critical towards math and science concepts, and she described her own personal approach as poetical science. Her program, when she was 17 years old, she met Charles Babbage, who we can see in the top right corner. Ada was asked to translate his paper about the analytical engine into English, and by doing so, she added extensive notes to the paper, and the notes ended up being 3 times longer than the paper itself. So she didn't write the analytical engine paper, but almost, because she really brought more to it than Charles Babbage himself. So in these notes, she describes an algorithm for the analytical machine to compute Bernoulli numbers. She describes how codes can be created to compute symbols and letters alongside numbers. And she came up with a method for the engine to repeat series of instructions that are today still known as looping. The difference engine came before the analytical engine, and this is what Charles Babbage created his machine off of, so it's really important to talk about it. This one could only perform simple math calculations. It handled polynomial functions, such as log and trig, but only those. And it tabulated a small set of polynomial coefficients, which was actually very useful for navigators and scientists who were always using these numbers, and this machine could bring them up much quicker. The analytical engine is much more advanced than the difference engine. It has programming concepts such as looping and branching, and has integrated memory. It could do much more complex calculations than the difference engine, and Ada went all the way to giving insight of this modern computer's potential outside of the confines of math. But sadly, it was never completed, and therefore Ada's theories could never be tested. This is why it's often criticized. Is she really the first programmer, given that we can never test these codes to see if they really work? Her last years, after working on this paper, she tried to develop math schemes in order to better predict gambling, but these all failed and left her in financial peril, and she had no more money. She suffered from uterine cancer and died in 1852 in London. She was married and had 3 children, so she left a pretty big family. She was buried alongside her father that she never met in a church graveyard in Nottingham, England. Her contributions to math are many. Her article drew very little attention while she was alive, which is very sad, but in the early 1940s, the first general purpose computer was created. So this is why Ada's findings became much more interesting. In 1950, there was the discovery of Ada's contributions, and that should not say 1930, that should say 1953, I'm sorry, her article was republished by B.Y. Bowden. In 1980, the USA Department of Defense created a computer language named Ada, in her honor, and Google celebrated her 197th birthday. With this logo, we can see there's also many organizations that use her as a model of women in technology. And Microsoft often refers to her as well. So thank you very much. That's all about Ada.